Hi, I'm Ryan. Today I want to show you how to set up arc fault and ground fault on your classic charge controller. To do ground fault, the first thing you need to do is install the jumper. There's a jumper in the classic that controls ground fault. By default, it's only on one pin, causing ground fault to be disabled. So we need to go into the classic and set that jumper on both pins. That jumper can be found to the right of the classic terminal block, right here. Okay, I've taken the jumper off, got the Scotch tape off in it. Now I'm going to go ahead and place it on the two pins as shown. By putting it on the two pins, we have now enabled ground fault hardware. We have to simply go into the menu and enable ground fault software. Okay, now to take care of the software part of arc fault or ground fault, we need to go into the menu of the classic. Press the main menu button. You will notice the main menu button is a back button. It will always bring you to the beginning of the main menu. I tell people just to push it repeatedly until they see either charge or wizard highlighted. Older firmwares had the wizard in it. It was in front of charge. So either one, you're either going to end up on the wizard or charge. Scroll to the right until you find tweaks is what we're looking for. Found tweaks, we'll press enter to enter tweaks. Ignore this screen. We want to hit the right soft key labeled more. Now here, I'll quickly point out the ground fault is default on. If you wanted ground fault and you used the jumper we talked about earlier in the video, you need to come in here and just verify it's still on. If it's not, scroll over to it, turn it on using the up or down arrow, press enter to save that, you're all set. What I really want to highlight is arc fault. This is where you would disable arc fault if you do not want arc fault protection, or you would enable arc fault if you do want arc fault protection. The classic ships from the factory by default with arc fault disabled. In other words, arc fault is off. You would need to use the up arrow to turn that on. You'd need to press enter to save that to the classic and you'd be all set. Now say you're getting some fault stripping of your arc fault detection and you want to set the parameters. You would go more 3, and then you would go arc adjust. Here's where you adjust the sensitivity of the arc fault detection. If you're getting some nuisance trips on your arc fault detector, you'd come in here. Mode is always 1. The numbers you need to adjust are time. The higher the number, the longer the arc, or the less sensitive before the classic will protect from that. It ships from the factory, set by 4 as default. Sensitivity, same idea. The higher the number, the less sensitive or the more severe the arc has to be before the classic will detect that. So you basically, if you're getting nuisance tripping, what I would recommend is bumping each one up 1 digit at a time. Save that data by pressing enter. You'll see data sent and saved. Once you've saved that data, you do need to power cycle the classic to send that data to the arc fault protection device that is only sent on boot up. To do that, we need to shut off the PV breaker and we need to shut off the battery breaker. The classic will reboot. We turn the classic back on. It'll go through its boot up process. Those values will be sent to the arc fault detection device. That concludes setting up arc fault and ground fault on the classic charge controller. Until next time, this is Ryan from Maine.